Have you ever felt overwhelmed by someone's words or actions? Do you find yourself reacting impulsively, only to regret it later? What if there was a way to respond that brought you peace instead of conflict? In a world full of noise and chaos, the idea of cutting ties silently may seem strange, but it holds a profound truth that can transform your daily life. Imagine walking through a bustling market, surrounded by shouting vendors and bustling crowds. A stranger jostles you, and for a moment, anger rises within you. But what if, instead of reacting, you paused, took a breath, and chose silence? This simple act can create a space of calm amidst the storm, allowing you to regain control over your emotions. Welcome to Wisdom Woven, where we explore the teachings of Buddhism and how they can enrich our lives. In this video, we'll uncover the power of not reacting and the strength that comes from cutting ties silently. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribe. So please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world to us and helps spread this valuable wisdom. As we delve into this journey, remember that every moment is an opportunity for growth. Learning to respond rather than react can lead to greater peace and clarity. With the insights from Buddhist teachings, we will explore how to embrace silence as a powerful tool in your life. Join us as we embark on this transformative path together, discovering the art of detachment and the serenity it brings. The art of letting go. Wisdom from Buddhism. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in our feelings and attachments. But the teachings of Buddhism remind us that letting go can lead to true freedom. When we hold on tightly to anger, frustration, or even our expectations of others, we create suffering for ourselves. But what does it mean to truly let go? Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring, or that you become indifferent. Instead, it's about releasing the grip that these emotions and expectations have on your life. Imagine holding a hot coal. The longer you hold on, the more it burns you. By letting go of that coal, you free yourself from pain. This is the essence of what Buddhism teaches about attachment. Buddhism introduces the concept of anatta, or non-self. This principle teaches us that our identities and attachments are not fixed. We often define ourselves by our roles, possessions, or relationships, but these things are transient. When we start to understand that our true self is not tied to these external factors, we begin to experience freedom. Letting go allows us to see the world more clearly, without the distortion of our attachments. Practicing mindfulness is essential in this journey of letting go. Mindfulness teaches us to observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment. When we notice our reactions, like anger or frustration, we can choose to acknowledge them without letting them control us. Imagine sitting by a river and watching the water flow. Your thoughts and feelings are like leaves drifting down that river. Instead of trying to grab them or hold on, simply observe them as they pass. This practice creates a space where you can respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Another key aspect of letting go is forgiveness. Holding on to grudges only weighs us down. When we forgive others and ourselves, we release the burden of anger and resentment. Forgiveness is not about condoning someone's actions. It's about freeing ourselves from the pain they cause us. It's a gift we give to ourselves. Think about someone who hurt you. Holding on to that hurt is like carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks. When you forgive, you take those rocks out and feel lighter. Let's consider an everyday scenario. Imagine a friend who forgets your birthday. At first, you might feel hurt and angry. But instead of dwelling on those feelings, ask yourself, why am I so affected by this? Perhaps your expectation was for them to remember. Maybe you feel unimportant. By understanding these feelings, you can choose to let go of the anger. You could remind yourself that everyone makes mistakes and that your worth is not defined by someone else's actions. As we practice letting go, we begin to cultivate a sense of compassion. Compassion arises naturally when we release our attachments. We start to see others not as sources of our pain, but as fellow travelers on this journey of life. Each person is dealing with their struggles and insecurities. When we recognize this, it becomes easier to let go of our judgments and embrace a more compassionate view. Letting go can also bring about a profound sense of peace. When we stop clinging to what we want or how we think things should be, we open ourselves to the beauty of the present moment. Life is ever-changing, and when we accept this, we can experience joy in the little things. A sunset, a kind word, or a simple smile can bring us happiness when we learn to appreciate them without attachment. However, letting go is not a one-time act. It's an ongoing practice. It takes time and patience. There will be days when you feel attached or overwhelmed, and that's okay. The key is to gently remind yourself to breathe and return to the practice of letting go. You might find it helpful to set aside a few moments each day to reflect on what you can release. Maybe it's a negative thought, a past regret, or a fear about the future. As you continue on this path, remember that you are not alone. Many have walked this journey before you, learning the art of letting go and finding peace in their lives. The teachings of Buddhism offer a timeless guide to navigate these feelings. By embracing the principles of non-attachment, mindfulness, and compassion, you can create a more fulfilling and serene existence. In conclusion, the art of letting go is a powerful tool that can transform your life. It allows you to release the burdens of attachment and embrace the present moment with an open heart. As you practice letting go, you will find that peace, clarity, and compassion become your companions on this journey. Letting go is not just about losing something. It's about gaining a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. Embrace this journey, and you will discover the profound freedom that lies in the art of letting go. Understanding ego, the root of reaction. In the journey of life, our ego often leads the way. It's that part of us that wants to be recognized, respected, and validated. But what happens when the ego feels threatened? It reacts. Whether it's a harsh comment from a friend or a disagreement with a loved one, the ego can ignite anger, frustration, or defensiveness. Understanding this part of ourselves is crucial if we want to learn the art of silent detachment. The ego thrives on our emotional responses. When someone criticizes us, our first instinct is to defend ourselves. We want to show that we are right and the other person is wrong. This reaction can lead to arguments and hurt feelings. But if we take a step back and observe our ego, we can see it for what it is, a collection of thoughts, beliefs, and insecurities that often cloud our judgment. Buddhism teaches us to recognize the ego and understand its influence on our actions. The Buddha spoke about the concept of anatta, or non-self. This idea suggests that the self we cling to is not as solid as we think. Our ego is like a passing cloud in the sky, constantly changing and not truly who we are. By acknowledging this, we can create space between ourselves and our reactions. When we understand that our ego is not the essence of our being, we can begin to detach from it. This doesn't mean ignoring our feelings. Rather, it means observing them without getting swept away. For instance, when someone insults us, instead of immediately reacting, we can pause and ask ourselves, why do I feel this way? What part of my ego is threatened? This awareness allows us to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Imagine a situation where a colleague undermines your work in a meeting. Your first reaction might be anger or embarrassment. But if you take a moment to breathe and observe, you might realize that your ego is seeking approval and validation. By recognizing this, you can choose to respond with grace, perhaps by calmly discussing the matter later rather than engaging in a heated argument. This approach not only protects your peace, but also fosters a healthier work environment. It's essential to remember that the ego often leads us to believe we need to defend ourselves at all costs. But in reality, not every situation requires a response. Sometimes, silence is the most powerful tool we have. By cutting ties with our ego-driven reactions, we create space for understanding and compassion. Additionally, the practice of mindfulness can help us become more aware of our ego's influence. Mindfulness encourages us to observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment. When we practice being present, we can notice when our ego is at play. This awareness gives us the power to choose our responses rather than being driven by automatic reactions. In daily life, start observing your ego in action. Notice how it responds in conversations, how it craves validation, and how it reacts to criticism. By understanding these patterns, you can begin to break the cycle of reactive behavior. Ask yourself, is this reaction truly who I am, or is it just my ego speaking? This simple question can open the door to greater self-awareness and emotional intelligence. It's also worth mentioning that the ego can misinterpret situations. For example, if a friend cancels plans, the ego might say, "They don't care about me." But if we take a step back, we might realize they are simply overwhelmed or dealing with their own challenges. By silencing our ego, we can approach the situation with compassion rather than hurt. Another aspect to consider is the role of empathy. When we recognize that everyone has an ego, we can cultivate compassion not just for ourselves, but for others as well. If someone reacts harshly, we can remind ourselves that their ego is likely at play, just as ours is. This perspective allows us to respond with understanding rather than anger, creating a ripple effect of kindness in our interactions. In the practice of Buddhism, letting go of the ego doesn't mean becoming emotionless. Instead, it allows us to feel deeply without being controlled by our feelings. We can still experience anger, sadness, and joy, but we won't let those emotions dictate our actions. This balance is where true emotional freedom lies. As we continue our journey, remember that recognizing the ego is just the first step. The real work lies in cultivating the ability to observe it without reacting. Each moment is an opportunity to practice this skill. By embracing silence and detachment, we can navigate life's challenges with grace and poise. In conclusion, understanding our ego is a vital part of the journey towards silent detachment. By recognizing its influence, we can create space for mindfulness, empathy, and compassion. This journey is not about suppressing emotions, but about transforming our relationship with them. As we learn to cut ties with our ego-driven reactions, we open ourselves to a more peaceful and fulfilling existence. Mindfulness and its role in emotional control. In our fast-paced lives, it's easy to get swept away by emotions. But what if we could pause and find stillness? This is where mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness is about being fully present in the moment, observing our thoughts and feelings without judgment. It helps us become aware of our emotions before they control us. Imagine you're in a conversation, and suddenly someone says something that bothers you. Your instinct might be to react, to snap back in anger or frustration. But with mindfulness, you can take a moment to breathe and notice how that comment makes you feel. Instead of reacting, you can respond with clarity and calm. This shift can change the outcome of any interaction. Buddhism teaches us that emotions are like clouds in the sky. Sometimes they're dark and stormy. Other times, they're light and fluffy. By practicing mindfulness, we learn to watch these clouds without getting lost in them. We don't have to be swept away by the storms of anger or hurt. Instead, we can sit in the sky of our own awareness, watching as emotions come and go. Practicing mindfulness can be as simple as focusing on your breath. When you notice your mind racing, gently bring your attention back to your breathing. Inhale deeply, hold it for a moment, and then exhale slowly. This simple act can ground you, bringing you back to the present and away from the chaos of your thoughts. Another powerful tool in mindfulness is the practice of noting. When a strong emotion arises, you can quietly acknowledge it. I feel angry, or I feel anxious. This act of naming the emotion can create distance between you and the feeling. You recognize it, but you don't let it define you. This distance allows you to choose your response rather than react impulsively. Mindfulness also encourages us to observe our triggers. What situations cause you to react? Is it a certain person, a stressful environment, or an unexpected change? By understanding your triggers, you can prepare yourself. You can practice mindfulness techniques ahead of time, so when those moments arise, you're better equipped to handle them with grace. As you cultivate mindfulness, you may notice a shift in how you relate to others. Instead of jumping into conflict, you can approach conversations with curiosity and compassion. When someone disagrees with you, instead of getting defensive, try to listen. What are they really saying? What feelings lie behind their words? Mindfulness allows us to create space for understanding, reducing tension and fostering connection. Another important aspect of mindfulness is self-compassion. We often hold ourselves to high standards and can be harsh critics, but mindfulness teaches us to treat ourselves with kindness. When we make a mistake or feel overwhelmed, we can pause, breathe, and remind ourselves that it's okay to struggle. Everyone experiences difficult emotions. It's part of being human. Journaling can be a wonderful way to enhance your mindfulness practice. At the end of each day, Take a few moments to reflect on your emotions. What moments challenged you? How did you respond? Writing helps clarify your thoughts and feelings, allowing you to see patterns over time. You may discover that certain situations consistently trigger strong reactions. Awareness is the first step toward change. Mindfulness is not about eliminating emotions. It's about experiencing them fully and learning to respond wisely. Instead of pushing away feelings like anger or sadness, we can sit with them. Ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to teach me? This reflective practice turns emotions into valuable teachers, guiding us toward deeper self-awareness. Over time, mindfulness can transform your relationships. When you respond rather than react, people will notice a difference. You become a calming presence, creating an environment where open dialogue can flourish. This fosters trust and understanding, allowing you to build stronger connections. In the Buddhist tradition, mindfulness is closely tied to meditation. Regular meditation practice can deepen your ability to stay present. Start with just a few minutes each day, focusing on your breath or a simple mantra. As you develop this habit, you'll find it easier to carry mindfulness into your daily life. Consider incorporating mindfulness into routine activities. Whether you're eating, walking, or washing dishes, try to be fully present. Notice the sensations, the smells, the sounds. This practice not only enriches your experiences, but also helps you stay grounded in the moment, making it easier to manage emotions. Ultimately, mindfulness is about creating space for peace. In a world that often feels chaotic, it allows us to find stillness within. The more you practice, the more you'll notice the difference in how you handle challenges. Emotions will still arise, but you'll respond with awareness and clarity, choosing your path instead of being led by impulse. By embracing mindfulness, you're not just changing how you react. You're transforming your entire experience of life. You begin to see that every moment is an opportunity to practice, to learn, and to grow. So take a deep breath and start your journey toward mindful living today. The silent strength of boundaries. In our journey through life, we often encounter situations and people that challenge our peace. Setting boundaries is like creating a protective wall around our inner self. Imagine you are in a beautiful garden. You want to nurture the flowers and plants within, but if you let everything from the outside invade, chaos will take over. Boundaries are what keep your garden flourishing. When we think about boundaries, many of us might feel a sense of discomfort. We worry about how others will react. Will they be upset? Will they think we're unkind? But here's the truth. Setting boundaries is not about being harsh. It's about caring for yourself. It's about recognizing that your well-being matters. Buddhism teaches us to observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment. When we acknowledge our needs, we become more aware of what we will tolerate and what we won't. This awareness is the first step in creating healthy boundaries. It's like knowing which weeds to pull out to protect your garden from harm. Let's consider a simple example. Think about a friend who frequently asks for favors but never returns the kindness. You may feel drained after each interaction. Instead of reacting with frustration, pause. Reflect on what this relationship brings to your life. If it feels one-sided, it's time to set a boundary. You can kindly express that while you value their friendship, you need to take care of your own needs first. Setting a boundary might feel uncomfortable at first, but it's a practice that grows stronger with time. Start small. It could be as simple as saying no to a request that doesn't sit well with you. Each time you honor your needs, you strengthen your ability to set boundaries. It's like building muscle. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. Many of us fear that setting boundaries will lead to conflict or even the end of a relationship. While some may react negatively, others will respect your honesty. True friends will understand and appreciate your need for self-care. It's essential to remember that not everyone will respect your boundaries, and that's okay. Your priority is to protect your peace. When we think of silence, we often view it as emptiness. In reality, silence can be a powerful tool for maintaining boundaries. When someone crosses a line, instead of reacting with words, you can choose to be silent. This silence speaks volumes. It signals that you are not willing to engage in behavior that doesn't serve your well-being. Moreover, silence gives you time to reflect. In the heat of the moment, we might say things we don't mean. But when we remain silent, we can consider our next steps thoughtfully. This mindful pause allows you to respond with clarity rather than react out of anger or frustration. Buddhism encourages us to practice loving kindness, both for ourselves and others. Setting boundaries is an act of love. It shows that you respect yourself enough to maintain your well-being. It also sets a standard for how you wish to be treated. When you express your needs clearly, you teach others how to treat you with respect. It's important to communicate your boundaries clearly and calmly. Use I statements to express your feelings. For instance, instead of saying, "You always interrupt me," try, "I feel unheard when I'm interrupted." This approach reduces defensiveness and opens the door for understanding. Remember that boundaries are not meant to be rigid. They can be flexible. Life changes, and so do our needs. Regularly check in with yourself. Are your boundaries still serving you? If not, adjust them as needed. This adaptability is a sign of emotional maturity and self-awareness. Creating boundaries also means understanding your limits. What are your emotional, physical, and mental limits? When you know your boundaries, you can communicate them more effectively. If you find yourself overwhelmed, it's a signal that it's time to reassess your boundaries. In the Buddhist practice of mindfulness, we learn to observe our thoughts and feelings without getting entangled in them. This practice can help you notice when your boundaries are being tested. By observing rather than reacting, you can choose your response wisely. Another key aspect of boundaries is recognizing when to let go. Sometimes, relationships can become toxic, and holding on may do more harm than good. If someone consistently disrespects your boundaries, it might be time to distance yourself. This doesn't mean you have to cut ties completely, but it's about prioritizing your well-being. Ultimately, setting boundaries is an act of self-respect. It's a way to honor your feelings and needs. When you take this step, you may find that others start to treat you with more respect as well. Your calm and silent strength becomes a beacon for those around you. As we navigate the complexities of relationships, remember that it's okay to put yourself first. It's not selfish, it's necessary. Boundaries help you maintain your peace, enabling you to engage with the world from a place of strength rather than vulnerability. In closing, embrace the idea that boundaries are not walls that shut people out. Instead, they are fences that protect your inner garden, allowing you to cultivate relationships that nourish your spirit. By honoring your needs and using silence as a powerful tool, you can create a harmonious balance in your life. The silent strength of boundaries will not only protect you, but will also empower you to flourish in every aspect of your journey. Detachment versus indifference, a Buddhist perspective. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to confuse detachment with indifference. At first glance, they may seem similar, but the heart of Buddhism teaches us that they are profoundly different. Let's explore what detachment truly means and how it can enhance our lives, while indifference can lead to emptiness. Detachment, in the Buddhist sense, is about understanding and accepting that everything is temporary. Our emotions, relationships, and even our thoughts are fleeting. When we detach, we acknowledge these truths without becoming entangled in them. Imagine holding a flower. You can admire its beauty, enjoy its fragrance, and appreciate its presence, but you know it will eventually wilt. Detachment allows you to enjoy the flower fully without clinging to it. You can appreciate it without fear of loss. On the other hand, indifference is a lack of concern or interest. It's a numbness that can arise from feeling overwhelmed or hurt. When we become indifferent, we shut ourselves off from emotions, people, and experiences. This can lead to isolation and loneliness. Indifference often stems from fear. Fear of getting hurt, fear of being vulnerable. It may feel safer to shut down, but in doing so, we miss out on the richness of life. Consider this. When someone speaks harshly to you, detachment allows you to observe their words without letting them sink into your heart. You understand that their anger may come from their own suffering. Instead of reacting, you can choose to respond with compassion. You create space between their words and your feelings, enabling you to maintain your inner peace. In contrast, if you respond with indifference, you may dismiss their feelings altogether. You might say, "It doesn't matter to me," but deep down it does. This reaction can lead to unresolved conflict and a sense of emptiness. Indifference blocks genuine connection, whereas detachment opens the door to understanding. Buddhism teaches that detachment is not about cutting off emotions or connections. It's about developing a healthy relationship with them. You can care deeply for someone while also recognizing that you don't possess them. Relationships flourish in this environment of mutual respect and understanding. You support each other without clinging. Think of a tree in the wind. Its branches sway, but the roots remain strong and anchored in the ground. This is what true detachment looks like. You can bend and adapt to life's challenges while staying grounded in your values and sense of self. You are resilient, able to weather the storms without losing your essence. Detachment also allows us to practice forgiveness more effectively. When we hold on to grudges, we carry heavy burdens that weigh us down. Through detachment, we recognize that holding on to anger only harms us. It's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. When we let go, we free ourselves from the chains of resentment. This doesn't mean we forget what happened or pretend it didn't hurt us. Instead, we acknowledge the pain and choose to move forward without letting it define us. This journey toward forgiveness and detachment can be challenging, but with patience and practice, it becomes a source of strength. Cultivating detachment also encourages us to see the bigger picture. In everyday life, it's easy to get caught up in small irritations. A missed bus, a rude cashier, or a friend's forgetfulness can trigger our frustration. But when we practice detachment, we realize these moments are fleeting. We can choose to let go and focus on what truly matters, our overall happiness and well-being. In this journey, mindfulness plays a crucial role. By being present in each moment, we can observe our thoughts and feelings without becoming attached to them. When you feel anger rising, take a step back. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? This simple act of inquiry allows you to detach from the immediate emotion and respond with clarity. As we continue to explore detachment, it's essential to remember that it's a practice. Like any skill, it takes time to develop. Begin by noticing moments in your life where you feel attached or overly reactive. Start small. When you face a challenging situation, take a deep breath and pause before responding. Create a moment of stillness where you can choose how to react. Ultimately, detachment can lead to a more fulfilling and meaningful life. It allows us to engage fully in our relationships and experiences without being weighed down by expectations or fears. By understanding the difference between detachment and indifference, we can cultivate a compassionate and mindful approach to our lives. As you embrace detachment, remember that it's about balance. You can care deeply for others while maintaining your inner peace. This practice doesn't mean you'll never feel pain. It simply means you'll have the tools to navigate those feelings with grace and understanding. So, let's embark on this journey of learning to detach ourselves from the chaos while remaining engaged with life's beauty. By doing so, we'll find greater freedom and a deeper connection to ourselves and those around us. The path may not always be easy, but with each step, we move closer to a life filled with compassion, joy, and serenity. Cultivating compassion while setting boundaries. In our journey through life, we often encounter challenging relationships. These can be with friends, family, or even coworkers. While it's important to show compassion, it's equally vital to establish healthy boundaries. How can we balance kindness with the need to protect our own peace? This is where the teachings of Buddhism can guide us. First, let's understand what compassion truly means. Compassion is more than just feeling sorry for someone. It's about understanding their suffering and wanting to help. However, this doesn't mean we should allow others to take advantage of us. The essence of compassion lies in recognizing both our needs and the needs of others. Imagine a garden. Each flower represents a person in our lives. Some flowers are vibrant and healthy, while others may be wilted or thorny. When we tend to our garden, we need to give attention to both types. We water the healthy flowers, nurturing their growth, while gently pruning the ones that might harm us. This is akin to setting boundaries. We can show compassion without losing ourselves in the process. When we establish boundaries, we create a space that allows us to flourish. This doesn't mean we become cold or indifferent. Rather, it allows us to offer genuine support to others without draining our own energy. A key aspect of compassion is recognizing our limits. If we constantly give without considering our own well-being, we risk burnout and resentment. One practical way to cultivate compassion while setting boundaries is through mindful communication. When a friend asks for help but you're feeling overwhelmed, instead of saying yes out of obligation, you might say, "I care about you, and I want to help. However, right now, I need some time to recharge. Can we find another time to talk?" This approach respects both your needs and theirs. Buddhism teaches us to view relationships as interconnected. When we establish boundaries, we're not just protecting ourselves. We're also honoring the relationship. A healthy boundary can lead to deeper understanding and respect. By being clear about our limits, we encourage others to do the same. This openness fosters mutual respect and can strengthen the bonds we share. Another important aspect of cultivating compassion is practicing self-compassion. How can we show kindness to others if we can't extend that kindness to ourselves? Reflect on how you speak to yourself when things don't go as planned. Are you harsh or forgiving? When we treat ourselves with compassion, we set an example for how to treat others. Engaging in self-care is essential. This can be as simple as taking a walk in nature, meditating, or enjoying a hobby. By nurturing our own well-being, we're better equipped to be present for others. When we feel balanced and grounded, we can approach relationships with an open heart and a clear mind. Compassion also requires a degree of vulnerability. We may fear that setting boundaries will push people away or create conflict. However, true compassion is about honesty. It's important to express our feelings and needs authentically. When we communicate openly, we allow space for understanding and growth in our relationships. Sometimes, showing compassion means letting go. If a relationship becomes toxic or one-sided, it's okay to distance ourselves. This doesn't mean we stop caring. It simply means we recognize when it's healthier to step back. Letting go can be painful, but it often leads to greater clarity and peace. In practicing compassion while setting boundaries, we can also embrace forgiveness. Holding on to grudges or past hurts weighs us down. By forgiving others and ourselves, we free up emotional space to cultivate more positive relationships. Forgiveness is not about excusing behavior. It's about releasing the hold it has on us. Buddhism teaches the concept of metta, or loving kindness. This practice encourages us to send goodwill and compassion to ourselves and others. When we cultivate metta, we create a ripple effect. Our kindness can inspire others to be compassionate as well, creating a more harmonious environment. As we navigate our relationships, it's important to regularly check in with ourselves. Are our boundaries still serving us? Are we still feeling compassionate toward ourselves and others? Life is dynamic, and our needs may change. By staying attuned to our emotions, we can adjust our approach as needed. In conclusion, cultivating compassion while setting boundaries is a delicate dance. It requires self-awareness, honesty, and a willingness to embrace both kindness and self-care. By establishing healthy boundaries, we create space for our own growth while still being there for others. This balance is a reflection of the interconnectedness of all beings, a core teaching of Buddhism. As we continue this journey, let's remember that it's possible to be both compassionate and firm, nurturing both ourselves and those we care about. The value of silence in conflict resolution. In the hustle and bustle of our lives, conflict is almost unavoidable. Whether it's a disagreement with a friend, a heated discussion at work, or a misunderstanding with a family member, tensions can rise quickly. But what if I told you that silence could be one of the most powerful tools you have for resolving conflict? When a disagreement arises, our instincts often push us to respond immediately. We might feel the urge to defend ourselves, to argue back, or to express our feelings passionately. However, this knee-jerk reaction can escalate the situation, leading to hurt feelings and unresolved issues. Instead, taking a moment of silence can be incredibly valuable. It allows us to step back, reflect, and approach the situation with a clearer mind. Silence gives us the opportunity to listen, not just to the words being spoken, but to the emotions behind them. When we are quiet, we can truly hear the other person's perspective. We may start to understand their feelings, their fears, and their needs. This understanding can pave the way for a more meaningful conversation, one that focuses on resolution rather than conflict. In Buddhism, silence is often seen as a form of wisdom. It's not about shutting people out or ignoring problems. Rather, it's about creating space for thoughtful reflection. By remaining silent, we demonstrate patience and mindfulness, qualities that can shift the dynamic of a conflict. We become less reactive and more responsive, enabling us to engage with empathy. Consider a scenario where a friend is upset with you. Instead of jumping in to explain your side or defend yourself, take a deep breath and pause. Allow the silence to fill the space. This moment can transform the interaction. Your friend may feel heard and validated, leading them to open up more about their feelings. When you finally respond, you can do so from a place of understanding, which can lead to a productive dialogue. Silence can also help us avoid saying things we might regret. In the heat of the moment, we might lash out with words that are hurtful or dismissive. These words can linger long after the argument has ended. However, when we choose silence, we give ourselves the gift of time. Time to think, to breathe, and to choose our words wisely. This conscious choice can protect our relationships and keep the lines of communication open. In addition to fostering understanding, silence can also diffuse tension. When conflicts escalate, emotions run high, and the atmosphere can become charged. By introducing silence into the conversation, we can lower the emotional intensity. This can create a sense of calm that allows both parties to regain their composure. When we approach conflict from a place of calmness, we are more likely to reach a resolution that satisfies both sides. Moreover, silence can serve as a powerful boundary. It sends a message that you are not willing to engage in unproductive arguments or hurtful exchanges. By choosing not to react immediately, you assert control over the situation. This is not about being passive. Rather, it's an active choice to prioritize peace over conflict. It's important to note that silence doesn't mean we should avoid addressing issues altogether. Rather, it's a strategic pause that gives us the clarity we need to engage more effectively. When the time feels right, we can express our thoughts and feelings, but with greater intention and compassion. In the Buddhist tradition, the practice of mindfulness plays a crucial role in using silence effectively. Mindfulness teaches us to be present and aware of our thoughts and emotions without judgment. By cultivating this awareness, we can recognize our triggers and responses. This self-awareness allows us to choose silence as a response when faced with conflict, instead of reacting out of habit. Additionally, the practice of meditation can enhance our ability to embrace silence. Regular meditation helps us develop patience and calmness, equipping us with the tools needed to navigate challenging conversations. It creates a habit of going inward, which can be invaluable when facing external conflicts. When we approach conflicts with the wisdom of silence, we also set an example for others. People around us may notice our calm demeanor and our ability to listen deeply. This can inspire them to adopt similar practices, creating a ripple effect of mindfulness and compassion in our relationships and communities. As we continue to practice this art of silent resolution, it's essential to reflect on the outcomes. After a conflict is resolved peacefully, take time to acknowledge the power of silence. Recognize how it contributed to the resolution and the strength it brought to your relationship. This reflection will reinforce the value of choosing silence over reaction in future conflicts. Remember, silence is not an absence of communication. It's a powerful form of it. It shows that we value the relationship enough to pause and truly listen. By embracing silence, we cultivate a deeper connection with others, fostering a space where understanding can flourish. In conclusion, the value of silence in conflict resolution cannot be overstated. It allows us to listen, reflect, and respond with empathy. By practicing silence, we create opportunities for meaningful dialogue and healing. In a world often filled with noise, let us remember the profound strength found in quiet moments. Embrace silence as a powerful ally, and watch as your conflicts transform into opportunities for connection and growth. The karma of reaction. How responses shape destiny. In the tapestry of life, every action we take, every word we say, weaves a thread that shapes our destiny. This is the essence of karma, a fundamental concept in Buddhism that teaches us the importance of our choices and their consequences. When we react impulsively, we often do not see the full picture. Our responses can create ripples that affect not just us, but also those around us. Imagine a calm pond. When you throw a stone into it, the surface ripples outwards. The same happens with our reactions. A single angry outburst can create waves of negativity, spreading tension and discord. But when we choose to respond with calmness and thoughtfulness, we create ripples of peace. These ripples can touch the lives of others, promoting a cycle of positivity rather than chaos. When we react out of anger or frustration, we often focus solely on the immediate situation. We forget that our reactions can define our relationships and experiences. Consider a situation at work. A colleague criticizes your idea in a meeting. The natural instinct may be to defend yourself passionately or respond with sarcasm. But what if instead you paused, took a deep breath, and replied with understanding? This choice not only preserves your dignity, but also fosters a collaborative spirit. Karma teaches us that every action is a seed planted in the soil of our lives. If we plant seeds of anger and resentment, we can expect a harvest of conflict and unhappiness. Conversely, when we cultivate kindness and patience, we reap the fruits of understanding and harmony. It's about being mindful of what we want to grow in our lives. By choosing our responses carefully, we set the stage for a better outcome. Let's take a moment to reflect on the power of intention behind our reactions. When we react thoughtlessly, we may not fully understand the impact of our words. But when we act with intention, we can create a more meaningful connection. Instead of reacting with irritation when a loved one forgets something important, consider responding with compassion. Ask them what's going on, and express your feelings calmly. This approach not only helps the other person feel understood, but also strengthens your bond. Another aspect of karma is the idea of collective energy. When we engage in negative reactions, we contribute to a collective atmosphere of tension and conflict. This can be seen in social settings or workplaces where negativity breeds more negativity. However, when we choose silence or thoughtful responses, we become part of a ripple that encourages others to do the same. Our actions can inspire a shift in energy, turning a potentially explosive situation into a peaceful dialogue. Moreover, understanding the karma of our reactions helps us navigate challenging relationships. When someone provokes us, we often feel the urge to retaliate. Yet, if we recognize that our response shapes the future, we may choose to step back. Instead of feeding into the negativity, we can respond with grace. This doesn't mean being passive or allowing others to walk all over us. It means asserting ourselves in a way that honors our values and promotes peace. Think about a moment when you chose not to react. Perhaps someone was rude to you, and instead of snapping back, you smiled and walked away. That choice not only protected your peace, but also sent a message. You won't be drawn into negativity. This is the essence of cutting ties silently. It's a powerful way to break the cycle of negative karma, not just for yourself, but for those around you. The path to mastering our reactions is not easy. It takes practice and a commitment to mindfulness. Regular meditation can be a powerful ally in this journey. When we sit in stillness, we create space to observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment. This practice helps us recognize our triggers and responses, allowing us to choose how we engage with the world. As we cultivate this awareness, we become more adept at responding thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. It's also essential to remember that karma is not about punishment or reward. It's about cause and effect. Each response we make adds to the tapestry of our lives, influencing our experiences and shaping our future. If we want a future filled with joy, peace, and understanding, we must consciously choose how we respond to each moment. Finally, let's embrace the notion that our responses can be a form of personal empowerment. By choosing not to react, we reclaim our power. We refuse to let external circumstances dictate our emotions. Instead, we become the architects of our reality. In every interaction, we have the choice to respond with intention, compassion, and strength. This empowerment is a beautiful gift we give ourselves, creating a life of purpose and fulfillment. In conclusion, the karma of our reactions is a vital thread in the fabric of our lives. By choosing how we respond, we shape not only our destiny but also the experiences of those around us. Let us strive to cultivate kindness, patience, and understanding in our reactions, allowing the ripples of our choices to create a positive impact. In this way, we can navigate life's challenges with grace and build a brighter future for ourselves and others. The role of meditation in emotional mastery. Meditation is like a gentle rain that nourishes the dry soil of our minds. Just as a garden flourishes with care, so too does our emotional well-being blossom through the practice of meditation. In this busy world, we often forget to pause, to breathe, and to connect with ourselves. But meditation offers a way to step back from the chaos and find clarity amidst the noise. When we meditate, we create a space for stillness. This stillness allows us to observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment. Imagine sitting quietly, closing your eyes, and focusing on your breath. With each inhale, you invite calmness, and with each exhale, you let go of tension. In these moments, you learn to recognize the waves of emotions that rise within you. Instead of being swept away by them, you become the calm ocean beneath the surface. In Buddhism, meditation is not just a practice, it's a way of life. It teaches us to cultivate mindfulness, an awareness of the present moment. When we are mindful, we can observe our reactions to situations more clearly. We notice when anger bubbles up or when fear creeps in. Instead of reacting impulsively, we can choose how to respond. This is the essence of emotional mastery. Let's consider a simple scenario. Imagine you receive an unexpected criticism at work. Your initial reaction might be defensive, perhaps even angry. But if you take a moment to breathe and reflect, you can choose to respond differently. Through meditation, you learn to pause and create that vital space between stimulus and response. You might choose to acknowledge the criticism calmly and reflect on its validity, rather than reacting out of anger. Over time, regular meditation helps you build resilience. Just like a tree that bends with the wind but doesn't break, you learn to adapt to life's challenges. Meditation strengthens your ability to face difficulties without becoming overwhelmed. It gives you tools to navigate relationships, work pressures, and daily stressors with grace. You may wonder how often to meditate. There is no one-size-fits-all answer. Even a few minutes a day can be beneficial. Start small. Find a quiet place, sit comfortably, and set a timer for 5 minutes. Focus on your breath, gently guiding your attention back whenever your mind wanders. As you practice, you'll notice that your ability to remain calm during stressful situations improves. Many people find that meditation not only calms their minds, but also opens their hearts. It fosters compassion, both for ourselves and for others. When we are more compassionate, we are less likely to react harshly in difficult situations. Instead of lashing out, we begin to respond with understanding and kindness. As you meditate, you may also encounter uncomfortable emotions. This is normal. Rather than pushing these feelings away, allow them to surface. By acknowledging them, you gain insights into your triggers and patterns. This awareness is a crucial step in emotional mastery. You learn to sit with discomfort without letting it dictate your actions. In the teachings of Buddhism, there's a concept called the monkey mind. This refers to the restless, chattering thoughts that often distract us. Meditation helps quiet this monkey mind, allowing us to connect with our deeper selves. When we can calm the mind, we create space for wisdom to emerge. Another important aspect of meditation is its ability to enhance our focus. In today's fast-paced world, distractions are everywhere. By training our minds through meditation, we sharpen our ability to concentrate. This improved focus allows us to engage more fully in conversations and activities, reducing the likelihood of impulsive reactions. Consider the impact of meditation on your interactions. When you practice regularly, you'll find that you listen more attentively to others. You become less reactive, more open to understanding different perspectives. This shift can transform relationships, making them deeper and more meaningful. As we explore the role of meditation in emotional mastery, it's essential to remember that this is a journey. Like any skill, it takes time and patience to cultivate. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small. Each moment spent in meditation is a step toward greater self-awareness and emotional control. One of the most beautiful things about meditation is its accessibility. You don't need special equipment or a vast amount of time. You can practice it anywhere, at home, in a park, or even in a quiet corner of your workplace. All it takes is your willingness to turn inward and explore the depths of your mind. As we conclude this part on meditation, keep in mind that it's not just a practice. It's a pathway to a more fulfilling life. By embracing meditation, you learn to navigate your emotions with wisdom and compassion. You discover the power of silence, not just as a lack of noise, but but as a space for growth, reflection, and peace. So, as you move forward, consider how you can integrate meditation into your daily routine. Whether it's a few minutes in the morning or a moment of stillness before bed, every effort counts. Through meditation, you have the potential to transform not only your own life, but also the lives of those around you. Embrace this journey with an open heart and mind, and watch as your emotional mastery unfolds. Practicing non-attachment in relationships. In our journey through life, relationships hold a significant place. They can bring joy, support, and love, but they can also lead to conflict, disappointment, and heartache. One of the most powerful teachings from Buddhism is the practice of non-attachment, which can transform how we relate to others. Let's explore this concept in simple terms. Non-attachment doesn't mean we stop caring about the people in our lives. Instead, it encourages us to engage without clinging to outcomes or expectations. Imagine a flower in a garden. You can admire its beauty and nurture it, but if you try to force it to bloom on your timeline, you will only cause yourself stress. Similarly, when we attach ourselves to specific outcomes in relationships, like expecting someone to behave a certain way, we set ourselves up for disappointment. Think about a friend who often cancels plans. Instead of feeling hurt and frustrated, try to accept them as they are. This acceptance doesn't mean you should tolerate disrespect. It's about understanding their situation and recognizing that their choices do not define your worth. By practicing non-attachment, you can remain open and loving without being consumed by frustration. Another key aspect of non-attachment is letting go of the need for validation. Many of us seek approval from others, whether it's through compliments, likes, or acknowledgement. This craving can lead to anxiety and insecurity. Instead, focus on self-acceptance. Understand that your value doesn't come from external sources, but from within. When you truly appreciate yourself, you won't rely on others to validate your existence. In romantic relationships, non-attachment can be particularly powerful. It's easy to fall into patterns of jealousy or possessiveness, believing that our happiness depends on another person. This mindset can create tension and conflict. Instead, aim for a loving connection where both partners can grow independently. When you nurture your own passions and interests, you bring more to the relationship. Love should enhance your life, not consume it. When disagreements arise, which they inevitably will, practice responding with awareness. Instead of reacting out of anger or frustration, take a step back. Breathe. Ask yourself, what is my intention here? Is it to prove a point or to foster understanding? By shifting your focus, you can approach conflicts with a calm and open heart. This doesn't mean you suppress your feelings. It's about expressing them without the weight of attachment. Let's consider a simple exercise. The next time you feel a strong emotion in a relationship, pause for a moment. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Reflect on what is triggering your feelings. Is it a fear of losing the relationship? A need for control? Understanding the roots of your emotions can help you navigate them more wisely. As you cultivate non-attachment, you'll also notice an increase in your emotional resilience. Life will continue to throw challenges your way, but instead of being swept away by them, you'll find a steadiness within yourself. This inner strength allows you to face conflicts with grace and clarity. Non-attachment also means understanding that relationships evolve. People grow, change, and sometimes drift apart. This is a natural part of life. Instead of clinging to what was, embrace the present moment. Cherish the memories, but also be open to new connections and experiences. Life is a journey, and every relationship teaches us something valuable. Gratitude is another essential aspect of practicing non-attachment. When you appreciate the people in your life without clinging to them, you create a positive space for growth. Express your gratitude often. A simple thank you can strengthen your bonds and remind you of the beauty of your connections. Lastly, remember that practicing non-attachment is a journey, not a destination. It takes time and patience. Be gentle with yourself as you learn. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small. Each step you take towards understanding non-attachment will bring you closer to a more peaceful existence. In conclusion, non-attachment in relationships encourages us to love freely, accept ourselves and others, and navigate life's ups and downs with grace. By embracing this practice, we can foster deeper connections while maintaining our sense of self. Remember, the more we practice non-attachment, the more we can experience the beauty of our relationships without the weight of expectations. Conclusion: the transformative power of silent actions. As we reach the end of our journey together, let's reflect on the insights we've gained about the power of silence and non-reactivity. In a world that often pushes us toward instant reactions, embracing the idea of cutting ties silently can feel like a radical shift. Yet, it is in this silence that we find true strength and clarity. Throughout our exploration, we've seen how our reactions stem from our ego and the desire to defend ourselves. The teachings of Buddhism remind us that our ego often distorts our perception, leading us to respond with anger, fear, or defensiveness. When we learn to step back and observe our thoughts without judgment, we create a space for understanding. This understanding is where transformation begins. Silence is not just the absence of sound. It is a powerful state of being. It allows us to pause, reflect, and choose our actions wisely. Imagine facing a difficult conversation or a conflict. Instead of rushing to react, taking a moment of silence can help you collect your thoughts and emotions. This pause can be a game changer, shifting the entire dynamics of the situation. You might find that, in silence, you discover a deeper sense of compassion, not just for others, but also for yourself. We have also explored the significance of boundaries. Setting boundaries does not mean shutting people out. Rather, it means creating a safe space where you can nurture your well-being. In a way, it is a silent act of self-care. By knowing when to engage and when to withdraw, you empower yourself to navigate relationships with grace. Each boundary you establish becomes a clear signal of respect for yourself and others. As we cultivate this practice of non-attachment, we also learn the importance of compassion. It's natural to feel hurt or upset by others' actions, but reacting impulsively often escalates the pain. Instead, when we approach situations with compassion, we create an opportunity for healing. This doesn't mean excusing bad behavior. It means responding from a place of understanding rather than anger. By doing so, we can transform conflicts into moments of connection. Meditation is a vital tool that supports our journey towards silent detachment. Through meditation, we can train our minds to observe thoughts and emotions without getting entangled in them. This practice deepens our awareness and helps us recognize our habitual reactions. Over time, we develop the ability to respond with wisdom instead of impulse. In these quiet moments of reflection, we can connect with our true selves. The karma of our actions plays a significant role in how we experience life. When we react out of anger or frustration, we sow seeds that may lead to future conflict. Conversely, when we choose silence and understanding, we plant seeds of peace and harmony. These choices shape our path and impact not only our lives, but also the lives of those around us. Recognizing this connection empowers us to act with intention. In our relationships, practicing non-attachment does not mean detaching from others emotionally. Instead, it means appreciating connections without clinging to them. This balance fosters healthier relationships where love and respect can flourish. We learn to enjoy the moments shared with others while also recognizing that each person has their own journey. By releasing the need to control outcomes, we open ourselves to deeper, more meaningful connections. As we embrace the transformative power of silent actions, let us remember that this journey is not about perfection. It is about progress in the willingness to learn from each experience. Each time we choose silence over reaction, we grow a little more. We become more aware of our emotions, more compassionate towards others, and more grounded in our true selves. In conclusion, the practice of cutting ties silently is a profound and enriching experience. It invites us to explore the depths of our emotions, fostering greater awareness and connection. By embracing silence, we open ourselves to a world of possibilities, transforming conflict into understanding and pain into growth. As you move forward, carry these lessons with you. The next time you find yourself at a crossroads, remember the power of silence. Allow it to guide your actions and interactions. In doing so, you not only cultivate your own inner peace, but also contribute to a more harmonious world. Embrace this journey and let the wisdom of silence become a guiding force in your life.